Heidi ho neighbor, it's me. Um, this next video is about credit cards and other bills when it comes to enlisting. Um, I haven't seen this video I'm about to make on YouTube and anyone talking about it because not everybody's stupid. Okay, credit check. Now, in your process of enlisting, um, they will do a credit check. Why do they do a credit check? Well, it's not trying to judge you, but they're trying to see how vulnerable you are. Now, if you're in a lot of debt, um, like basically you've been out there and whatnot, it's gonna affect your process of enlistment, which is gonna have you get a FED waiver, which I'm going to elaborate on in another video. But basically, the credit check affects your security clearance. Um, Now, military star card. When my husband was in the army, we both got military star cards. So it was my first ever credit card, and it was all fine and dandy until he got discharged, and then I couldn't pay it anymore because it got kind of confusing since I was no longer registered in Deers. They weren't trying to give me any information on it. So my recruiter had to talk to them himself and say, okay, she is who she is. Her sponsor was this person. Come on, somebody give me something. I need a nibble. Because I went to collections for one part. I know I'm putting my business out there, but the past is the past, and if I can share it to help anybody else with their experience and to get things going smoothly, I'm going to. I'm not giving you my social number or anything like that, but shit happens. So I went to collections and whatnot because I didn't find this out until January. But I did pay up on it a little bit. But I guess with him getting out, I was no longer in Deers. So they went about it differently since I was a civilian. According to them, this is what the man explained to me since I'm a civilian. I was never in the military. I was a military spouse, and I guess that they consider it military affiliated. But since I was no longer in the military, they had no choice but to force it into collections because I couldn't make the payment on base anymore because I had no dependent ID with my DOD number on it to make that payment. So that was very confusing. It may differ for some people and it may not. So that affected, it was like a debt to income ratio thing that they were comparing. The thing I never got was they gave you like 40% and mine was nowhere near that. But still, they wanted to know that if I could take care of things, take care of it. And they want you to be on a payment plan and to have proof, and you have to write statements and everything. So I'm going to give some tips as well into this. Make wiser decisions. Military star cards are very appealing, especially as a service member, because as a service member, you get a clothing allowance, and you get an additional amount, and you can get a take-home today card, which is basically getting furniture. That was a charge-off as well, and they took that out of my tax return, so I had no problem with that. So make wiser decisions when it comes to that. It may seem so appealing, but first, make sure that you prepare for the future. If you want to get a credit card and you're fresh in, you need to have enough money saved in case something happens, God forbids, and you get discharged or anything, and you can no longer pay. Try to save up some money to pay off most of it so you don't have to deal with that problem. Now, my son, we were living on post, and the on post hospital was a freaking nightmare. We were waiting there for 9 hours at one time, and Skylar, my little sky bear, Jacob, he was he one? He wasn't even, yeah, he was about one. He was one. He just turned one, and he got sick with pneumonia. Oh shoot, no, this was before he got sick with pneumonia because we had just moved there, And I took him to my neighbor's, and she was one of those non-vaccine neighbors, and I did not know this at the time. So my son got sick, and we waited like 8-9 hours in the Army hospital. So we decided to go off base, and I didn't have his stuff with me because it was kind of like a last minute trip. So I had like a $200 something hospital bill, and I did not know about it because they didn't really tell me I was going to get a hospital bill before. I thought, his health insurance was kicked in. Evidently, it wasn't. So that showed up on my credit. If you have a child and there's something like a hospital bill that's in their name, it will show up on you as the custodial parent. And any parent, if you have that baby and you're on that baby's birth certificate and they have a hospital bill, it is going to come back on you. And you do need to get it taken care of. Sometimes it may be hard. You're going to have to work your butt off. And if you can't pay off the whole thing, I know my recruiter was very lenient with me, and he was very honest with me about how to handle it. So that was like the one great thing about having an honest recruiter. And then, so why the credit check again? Basically, the credit check determines your security level, because if you took out all these loans and everything, and basically your number is out there just for anyone to see, and you've had so many inquiries, you're kind of vulnerable. You don't want to be too vulnerable. And then they don't look at the score. They just look at what's affiliated under there. So it's no biggie when it comes to it. Just make sure you make good decisions. And if you just turned 18 or you just graduated high school and you're about to leave for basic or something like that, do not get a credit card when you get there. The weekend that you graduate, one of my friends just got out of basic training, and she said she wanted my advice on getting a credit card at the BX after she graduated on her graduation weekend when she was with her family. And I told her, oh, hell no. That's a boat you do not want to get into. I'm not talking bad about AFES. AAFES, it's connected to Army and Air Force. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying if you can't afford it, don't go out of your means. Don't bite off more than you can chew, because it's gonna screw your pooch big time. Everything was fine, but we did not see everything happening with Jay. We did not know that was all gonna happen, so we were ill prepared. And I was like 8 months pregnant too, so we didn't really have time for it because we had a new baby coming. We had just moved. He got out, So we couldn't afford it basically. So you always need to have something to where you will be able to be prepared if anything happens if you want to get a credit card. My suggestion, if you do end up getting a credit card, you might want to start out with the secure credit card where you you gotta pay like $49 for it with Capital One, and then you put the minimum of $200 down depending on how your credit is, and then just pay it off slowly. That credit card's a lot better than getting an actual credit card, because the secure credit card, that's your money that's on there. That's your money. It can't go into collections. They're just going to take your money and go. So it can't really go into collections. So that's my suggestion, and it really won't affect your credit in a bad way. So talk to your recruiter about it, because your recruiter knows more than I do about the current status and the current rules on credit checks. I know they do them, of course, but if you're 18 and you're fresh out of high school, you don't have anything to worry about unless you're one of those older high schoolers that got credit cards and stuff. So be careful. I will see you later.